Alright. Hello again. It's been a while since I've done any kind of a mobile vlog of sorts. Not because I've lacked places I've had to drive. I find I'm pretty mobile in my life. But it's because I haven't had anything I wanted to talk about. See, I don't do this for money, or for deadlines, or for anybody over me or anything like that. That's not why I do this. I do this because I want to get my thoughts out there, and I want to find like-minded people. And that pretty much sums it up. And I only make these when something comes along that I feel needs to be talked about, or that I want to talk about. And as you can imagine, these requirements have been met due to recent experience. So I just wanted to talk about the abuses we see today in Catholic parishes across the Western world today. Now, conciliarist or Bergoglian or neo-Catholic, whatever term you want to use to describe the modernized abomination that is the Catholic Church today, these abuses are not limited to them. They are also found in what some would call traditional parishes. And before we get to the main topic at hand, I just want to put something out there. I just want to throw this out there, okay? Now, I'm going off of experiences I've had, in fact, within minutes of me posting this video. And, you know, I personally do not feel inclined to mention these people or where I was or what I was doing on the internet. A couple of reasons. One, it's not really anyone's business. Two, while these people may be guilty of some liturgical abuses, I'm not putting on airs here. I am no great authority, alright? I'm just a guy on the internet. And I, personally, you know, I'm just using... This particular parish has just given me a wealth of examples of things that I've seen all over the place that really are not good at all for Catholic liturgical practice, and are clear corruptions of our traditions and of our liturgy. And these are not good things, and we'll explain why when we get to that point. But the main specific reason, and the main specific thing that these people did that's rather particular to them, and particular to other kinds of parishes of their sort, is just do not advertise on your website that you serve an extraordinary form Mass, okay? That you serve, quote, the traditional Latin Mass, whatever the heck that means, and then not serve it. Why would you even do this in the first place? Why would you open a Burger King and then advertise it as a Taco Bell? That right down to the facade and the menu. That doesn't even make any sense. It just doesn't. Because if the idea here is to catch the traditionalist market, like this is some kind of marketing thing, like this is some kind of business thing, if that's the idea here, then guess what? Those people are going to do what I just did. They're going to walk out when they realize the wool's been pulled over their eyes. Because let me tell you something. I'm not immune to this, but just as a general rule, trads are pretty paranoid people. I'm a pretty paranoid guy. I'll admit it. I am pretty on my toes about some things. But it's also hard to get me on my toes because I'm a pretty well-traveled guy. I'm used to being in awkward situations. I'm used to being in places where I'm not from, where I don't know anybody. I'm used to that. I'm pretty used to it, and I can adapt pretty quickly. But when it comes to religious stuff, I'm pretty... I keep my ear to the ground. I keep my head on a swivel. You know, I don't mess around. Okay? People who know me personally can vouch for my easygoingness. When it comes to religion, salvation of souls, I'm a pretty serious guy. I am a pretty straight-laced sort of person. Because if we're going to go into the realms of religion and theology, these things are sciences. And if are not treated as such, should be treated as such. Because they are. They are the study of the divine and the attempt to better understand the divine, its nature, and its will. Okay? To what end? To save our souls. And to elevate ourselves. And to find our true purpose in life. That's not just a Catholic perspective, that's a common sense perspective. That's an ancient world perspective. Okay? Maybe not the salvation of souls bit, but becoming closer to the divine and bettering ourselves and better understanding ourselves and our place in the world, yes, that's definitely a part of it. Now, and so when you advertise yourself as offering something sacramentally and liturgically and then not offering it, what exactly is the point? What exactly are you hoping to accomplish here? Because I don't know if people are just, if really the majority of people are just whipped and will just take what they're given and will just sit in the pew for fear of being rude. I'm sorry, I don't have that problem, okay? I'm known as a pretty salty individual. When I think someone needs to get their comeuppance, when I think someone needs to understand what they're doing is wrong, generally speaking, I don't have a problem showing that. Depending on time and place, I can call somebody out, or I can do what I just did now. I can quietly, without making a scene, just leave at a time that is not awkward, where it's not just awkward size, people just sitting around. I can just leave. I'm a free man. I can do what I want. I don't have to explain myself to anybody. It's very easy. Just get up, walk out, don't let the door hit you on the backside on the way out. It's a pretty easy concept. People do it with movies, people do it with theater, people do it with customer service. I don't see why we can't do it with churches that don't fulfill their sacramental obligations to lay people. Which makes sense to me. So that's just one little thing out of the way that there's a particular reason why I'm getting into this, because that just really irked me. Because traditionalist Catholics and sacramentally minded Catholics will drive in the upwards of 3 hours to get to Mass. If they have kids, if they have jobs, if they are poor, if money is tight, if their car is old and can't take the mileage, that's a big deal. Not only have you just wasted these people's time, but you've wasted their money, you've wasted their effort, and you've wasted their energy. You've literally wasted their personal resources and basically spiritually scammed them. That is absolutely reprehensible, okay? To do something like that is absolutely reprehensible. This is not a joke, okay? This is the salvation of souls is not a laughing matter. It's not a marketing scheme. It's not a popularity contest, okay? It is the strenuous effort to maintain a 2,000-year-old tradition given to us by the Son of God himself for our help. And every time you, as a clergyman, or as a layman, or as anyone, cheapen, insult, denigrate, or willingly ignore these traditions that were given to us for this express reason, you are literally insulting Christ. You are insulting the man that was Yeshua ben Yosef. You are insulting that man, and you are insulting God. Jesus Christ is God. Is and was God. Do you think you know better than the being who laid the foundations of the earth? Are you that arrogant? Let's assume you actually don't believe Pascal's wager. It is much better to work under the assumption that something that powerful is there than to live your life acting like it's not there. Because it's just stupid to rule out something like that. To rule out a variable like that, or a constant like that, in any gamble or wager, it is, in my mind, foolishness. Complete foolishness. So, we got that out of the way. Let's just talk about some of the abuses in parishes, beyond the ones I've mentioned so far, that irked me enough to make this video, that are really hurting the Catholic Church in its mission, and in general are causing not just the decline of the Catholic Church, but the contributing factor to why no one takes this religion seriously when they walk into a Catholic church for the first time. Okay? First thing I want to talk about, the sacrament of confession. Okay? I went very early, an hour early, to ensure that I would be able to receive the sacrament of confession. Okay? First off, clearly label where your confessional is. I should be able to walk in the front door, or any door, that leads into the main sanctuary, and be able to know where I have to go to receive the sacrament that could mean the difference between me going to heaven and me going to hell before or after, in the event I should die in the next 30 minutes. Okay? I can't believe no one thinks about these kinds of things. A simple marquee, a simple sign, a friggin' anything. Just tell me where it is. This one in particular was hidden off in an apps somewhere in a room that when I first walked in the room, I didn't know it was a confessional. I just saw a bunch of people sitting around in a room, in this apps, this transept, waiting on something like it was a doctor's office. Now, granted, this church was beautiful. It was very elegantly a lot of elegant woodwork, a very interesting, Iberian Germanic mix in architecture and art style, and I liked it. I really liked it a lot. It was clear that work had been done, either attempted restorative, or just repair or replacement, and it wasn't all bad. The newer stuff wasn't all bad. Okay, just if you were curious as to what kind of aesthetic I was working off here. Okay? And on the website for this church, it said that confessions were available half an hour before every single Mass without exception. That's good. It's good. Excellent work. Excellent work. So I'm sitting there, right? And, eventually at some point, I realized something. To my right on this transept, totally invisible from when I walked into it from the first time, was the presence of large sliding glass doors. Okay, that something like you would find on the back patio of the largest man's house. Okay, like it literally looked like something I would put on for the threshold that led to my deck on my back porch or something. That's what it looked like, except it was ginormous. And the baptistry was in here too, and I slowly realized, there were TVs up above as well. And I started putting the pieces together, and I realized this is the cry room. We'll talk about cry rooms in a minute. And essentially, I put the confessional right next to a cry room. Mistake one. And secondly, there was a whole handful of people waiting for the sacrament of confession that were just shooed away, because reasons. Because we had to start the Mass. Listen, a Mass can barely profit a man anything if he cannot partake of communion. It's not an absolute necessity that one partake, okay? But it sure helps. If nothing else, they can at least get their absolution. They could receive the graces of Holy Communion. Nothing else. The thing you need to get to heaven, the thing that which if you partake of while in a state of mortal sin, you commit one of the highest acts of sacrilege in the Catholic religion, and that's saying something. I mean, this just seems like common sense to me. It just seems like common sense. And yet, so I drove an hour to get here, okay? And I did not receive the sacrament of confession. Wasted trip, Already, I was thinking of just leaving based on that alone. Like, okay, well, I have a long drive ahead of me anyway. I may as well go ahead and leave. An hour is not that long for me in retrospect, but it's still a distance. It's still a distance of note. The second thing, or the next thing, I'm not going to bother numbering them, there's going to be a lot of these. The next thing that caught my eye was that from the transept I could see the main altar, which is very beautiful. It had some side altars that were absolutely gorgeous. Excellent woodwork. Beautiful woodwork. Now, a woman proceeded to head up to the pulpit. Now, for your average conciliarist parish, this is not a big deal. Not at all a big deal to have a woman walking around the altar. I think it's a big deal, but, it's not the worst thing that can happen. But here is what instantly threw me off. She was wearing a white surplice, and what looked like, I'm not entirely sure here on names, so don't crucify me. She was wearing a white robe, a white surplice or a white cassock of sorts, and a black surplice, like what religious wear, like what Dominicans wear, okay, over her robe, and that threw me off instantly. I'm like, who are you? She didn't have her head covered, she didn't, nothing about her said religious to me. Was that woman supposed to be a religious? Was she supposed to be a nun? Was she supposed to be a sister? I had no idea. I could not tell. I was utterly clueless on that front. Okay? And she was doing the Divine Mercy. Well, that's not so bad, but I just was so distracted by this woman. I could not figure out who she was. I was immediately thinking, before anything even started, before Mass even started, of cutting and running. So, like, do these people have a female clergyman? A female deacon? I had no idea. I couldn't make heads or tails of this. I still can't. I didn't bother to find out on the way out. I didn't bother to ask anybody. I thought about asking somebody, but I was odd man out. I didn't want to just be probing in these people's business. Same reason I'm not going to mention who they are. I'm not going to probe in these people's business, their lives. Just respect. And it was utterly distracting. And you should not have. Well, let's talk about confessions for a second. As a priest, you should ensure that as many people as are willing receive the sacrament of reconciliation before Mass. If your parishioners will not wait 10-20 minutes for someone to save their soul, potentially, before a Mass starts, then you have a bigger problem than the fact that you had to wait on extra confessions. You have a much, much bigger problem. You have an enormous problem with your lay people. And you need to get something straight in their little tiny heads. Okay? They are not the only Catholics on the planet. They're not. They may want to profane the Sabbath with sports or with whatever else they wanted to do that should not be done on a holy day, that is not supposed to be done on a Sunday, and by all means, that's a better reason to keep them waiting. That's a better reason, all the better reason. Okay. Now back to the female altar server thing, to the female whatever she was thing. Okay. Don't. This is actually a violation of canon law. Don't. Let's not. It is nothing against women. It is absolutely nothing against women. Women do valuable things for the church. Religious women do valuable things for the church and have historically. Okay? Women have played a pivotal role in Catholic history. As leaders, as heads of state, as warriors, and as even doctors of the church. As scientists, as activists. Okay? The fact of the matter is, gender equality, okay, is not that foreign of a concept to the Western world. The idea of the dignity of women is not a foreign concept to the Western world. It really isn't, okay? But that has jack all to do with sanctity, okay? God, you are here. God is here. However the divine being of the universe wants to be worshipped, okay, is entirely his call. It is not your call. It's not. How he wants things done is priority number one, okay? Because let's look at it this way. This is a being who could probably obliviate you, disintegrate your atoms by his mere presence before your sinful, stained self. My sinful, stained self included. Okay? It is a mercy beyond reckoning that this is not his default response to you. Okay? I'm just going to read something. You know, I don't care if I'm driving. Really don't. Okay? Really don't. Okay? I don't really care. Okay? I've done crazier things while I've driven an automobile. Much crazier things. Much crazier things. Okay? I was reading my missal, doing my devotions, as I often do before Mass, okay? Say, 1962 missal, okay? Pre-Vatican II, all that good stuff. And this line is in it. Give me, for thy mercy's sake, a hearty sorrow for having offended so good a God. When you look at the grand scope and scape of world religions, there are some really cruel deities out there. Okay? There really are. We just happen to draw the lucky straw, I think, grand scheme of things, if you look at it from a metaphysics standpoint, that from the way nature works, that we got the God that killed himself so that we could join him in paradise after disobeying literally the first rule he ever gave humanity. Okay? After which, by the way, he offered us immortality and endless paradise. You know? And the ability to reap nature's bounty and enjoy, you know, enjoy the natural world without having to really work for it. You know, I think that the whole Apple thing might have been not worth it. Just a thought. Just a tiny thought. Okay? Now, the point I'm making here is that why in the world are you trying to tell such a being that you know better concerning how he should be worshipped than how he has specifically laid it out? Please explain that to me. I'm really curious to know. Extremely curious to know. So, I'm going to just lay out my solution to this problem like so. Follow canon law. You know, read the black, do the red. Lay it out like that. Okay? That's all you need to do. It's very simple. Extraordinarily simple. Now, the next thing we need to talk about. Okay? During this Mass I was at, you know, this lady, you know, was giving parish announcements. Fair enough. You gotta attend to your flock, you know, beyond the spiritual. You gotta see to their temporal needs. Okay? Now, I don't so much have a problem with this, but I have a problem with doing it before Mass, during Mass, or in a church. I have a serious problem with this, okay? Because here's the basic function of a church, which if you get around all of the church, the vision of what an American considers a church is a temple. Okay? Church is a Anglicanized word, okay, from the Greek, ecclesiae, which means, or ecclesio, which means community, okay? Means community. Does not mean temple. The two have just sort of worked themselves together over time, okay? It's not necessarily an abuse, okay? It was going to happen, all right? But if you go back far enough, and if you look at the conversations and the writings and the correspondence of most Catholics, they refer to churches as temples in some capacity or another. Because there are places where worship and sacrifice are done. That is the function of a church. That is why churches are beautiful. It is to give glory to God and give testament to the sanctity and beauty of what goes on in a church. Okay? That's it. They are not there just as artwork, okay? That's not all they're there for. The artwork is important. It's good. We should definitely subsidize and fund beautiful, high-quality church architecture in the classical and traditional styles. We should definitely do this. We should even be okay with innovations that stay true to and naturally and organically grow from traditional art and from its school and the disciplines therein. But This wasn't all that happened. They saw fit to advertise for the Catholic schools, because apparently it's Catholic School Week in America. They saw fit to advertise their Catholic schools with a written speech given by a student from one of the schools, at the end of which everyone applauded. Now, I have no animosity towards this little girl. I have no animosity towards her whatsoever. I have no animosity towards the people who genuinely probably thought this was a good idea. They wanted to advertise for the school, and apparently the school's been there a long time. Apparently it has a tradition going, it grew out of the parochial school that was put there in like the 1900s. The early 1900s, and the 1800s, late 1800s, okay? This school has very prestigious history, okay? That's great, that's amazing. That's absolutely fantastic. You know, without knowing anything else about the school, I could say that's a good thing. Okay? Okay. But here's the thing, that's not what pulpit is for, okay? A church is designed just like the vestments of a priest for specific functions, to denote something, to explain to people what is going on, okay? Every Catholic in the world, I think about the age of 14, should know the function of every nook and cranny of your average Catholic church and what the symbolism of every piece of vestment means. Okay? That should be like required. That is the easiest thing in the world to teach. Okay? You can teach that to kids the same way you can teach them what the tools in the toolbox are, or the apparatus of you know, a tackle box is. That's so simple. Memorization, you know, questioning, you know, it's so easy. You know, anything can become easy with repetition. Anything. Anything can be improved with repetition with a goal at self-improvement. Anything. Bearing that in mind, okay? Furthermore, the way to fix this, okay? Because I understand you have to see to these things, all right? You have to take care of certain things that go on in your parish. Okay, you have to make people on the up and up. You have to let them know. Okay, step one, a newsletter and or mailing list. This is as easy as getting a printer, typing something up, printing it out, putting it in a little thing, in a little stand, like a newspaper stand, at the back of the church. This is as easy as telling everyone that comes to the coffee social afterwards, okay? If you don't have a coffee social after Mass, why don't you have a coffee social after Mass? This is a good thing. Especially if you're a traditionalist, if they're traditionalist parishes. Some of these people come a very long way. Their fast is now over. They are probably thirsty, hungry, and tired. So they probably have a long way home to go too, okay? Some caffeine, and some food, and sustenance, and some hydration would not kill them. It saves them having to go eat out somewhere on a Sunday. Okay, a simple potluck where everyone prepares everything the night before and brings it. That's the simplest thing in the world. It's so easy. You just got to get people to do it. And if people won't do it, well, it's about the same thing as people who don't pay their tithes. They're surprised when all their church services, when all the services the church has offered them closes. If you don't work for its maintenance, you know, then you're not going to have it. It's like a house. You know, it's just, these are things that should be done in church. What should be done in church are holy things, sacred things, okay? Sacraments, liturgies, lay devotions, okay?